All right, guys, welcome back. So hopefully we'll get a bit more done in this video. Obviously, last time I had to kind of explain Bootstrap and really set the scene, but now we're going to do just some coding and we're going to get this website looking how we hoped it would. So we just finished off with the Jumbotron and we'd added some styling to get it how it wants. And the next thing we're going to do then is start. So just to kind of compare where we're up to, we're at this point here. So I think, yeah, we're pretty much where it needs to be. We've still got some styling to navigation, which we will come back to. But the next thing I want to do is just create this section here. Now, as you can see, I've got some junk text, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And I left that in there for a reason, because if you're kind of new to web development, just little tricks like this can help when you're just trying to get the styling of things and you don't want to get too caught up on the content. Another little thing you'll notice is that these little icons, which were spread out, as I mentioned, they're kind of responsive. They'll move as my page moves, which is good. That's how we want things, because I want you to always be focusing on how this looks. And in fact, I'm going to just very, very quickly explain this. You should always use this little bit here. This shows what it would look like on a phone. So this is my website, fully responsive, fully downsizing and fitting nicely into what it would look like on a mobile phone. And that's important because obviously if you're hoping that this may be viewed in terms of, potential jobs and somebody who might be interested in talking to you about your experience, then there's a very good chance they're going to look at it on a phone. Okay. And this is what it would look like sidewise. So you can often build like the most beautiful website and then you go to look at it on a phone and suddenly it looks shocking and things all over the place. So that's a really important thing to consider. It took me a little bit of fiddling around to get this looking how I wanted it on a mobile phone. So it's why I mention it now. Cool. So let's get on then. Let's build the next bit, which is this bit down here. So this is, again, quite a simple bit. I'm going to just turn my CSS off for just a second. And again, I'm going to start off with a container because that just keeps everything nice and kind of laid out nicely. I'm going to give this one an ID of about me. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my first row. And in my row, I'm going to give that a class of text center. So we can apply this on rows, we can apply it on columns, inside our Jumbotrons like we did earlier. Doesn't really matter too much. Now I just want one column here. Okay, now you might be defaulting to think, well, do I need a column? You absolutely do need a column, and it all comes down to how you can format things and change stuff. So as a minimum, every row must have one column. Okay, it's too long to explain right now and really kind of make that point clear, but just trust and say that, even if in this situation you just want one set of data, still put one column inside and that column will span the entire width of the row. Okay, so I'm still going to give this one a column, but this time I can just say col, and column just means without any further information after it, such as like MD6 blah blah blah, just means span the entire width of the container that you are in. Now I want a P tag, and as I say, quick thing, if you write the word lorem and then hit enter, it just puts some junk data in for you, which is just really handy. And again, I'm just going to do the same thing in here. And this is just really handy for when you're just trying to get the style. You can see it gives you slightly different data each time. But it's just a useful little trick for when you're in the kind of the development stage. And I'm just going to close my gaps off a little bit here. And as you can see, now we've got some junk text. We're going to go about styling this and giving it margins in just a moment. So the next bit is the fun bit. It's this bit here. Now, Font Awesome's just great. Like, it really lives up to its name, and it just allows you to create these really cool little icons that are just so effortless to use. So let's first get the kind of the setup, and then I'll show you how to actually use Font Awesome, because you've probably seen it on quite a lot of people's work already and thought, oh, that looks really good, because it does. So I'll show you how to get that done. So I'm going to start off with a container. I'm then going to have a row. And I'm going to add a few extra classes inside that row. I'm going to start off with text center, which is going to obviously centralize all my text. Then I'm also going to use justify content center. And what this is going to do is however many items I have going across the horizontal axis, is going to kind of centralize them and pinpoint them to the center of that space, which is what basically just gives them that nice kind of look that you can see when you look at them. Then I'm also going to align item center, and again, that's just going to allow everything to be literally centered to the amount of space it has available. Okay, so now this bit is is important, and you cannot skip this step. Okay, and what you need to do is you need to create a column here. And I played around with this a few times till I got it exactly how I wanted it to be. But if I am going to have 9 items, I need 9 individual columns, and that's going to allow them to move and stack and be responsive in the way that I want them to. So I'm on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I probably should have done this actually a minute ago, because inside each one of these, I actually want a P tag. So in fact, I'm going to just, I guess I can do it this way, quite how I wanted it. So Control Z, guys, goes back. It takes you back one step. So I'm going to copy this. Another little trick, click on the line. It gives you the whole line that you can copy. And another little trick is if you hold the Alt key, if you're on a Windows user, and you click in multiple locations while keeping the Alt key pressed down, you're actually able to click into loads of different places. And then if I do Control and then paste, it will have popped that into every line there, which is really handy. And this is the part where I put my how much experience I've got for stuff. But before we get to that bit, let's actually get our Font Awesome icons. So if we go over here and we look at Font Awesome, and we come to this website here, then we're able to see how we can use Font Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because it can be a little bit hard to search. Now, Font Awesome is really fun to use, but it can be a little bit tricky to get set up with in the beginning. Okay, and so I use the inline like kind of link to it, which I'm going to put into the bottom. So it's a particular script tag that I'm going to be putting into the bottom of your page, but it's not always that easy to find. And I'll be honest, this is something that I've like struggled sometimes with, is to show people how to use this. So that's not quite what I copied. Let me just copy that one more time. And this is the link. And as you can see, it just gives you like nothing back, but it does actually work inside of your file. The thing is, it's just, I'm never quite sure where to find it, but I've had the link for ages and then I just end up updating it. So it's definitely worth having a little read through. Now I am not going to sign up to this because I've already used my emails, and there's lots of different ways you can host it. So you can, host on your desktop, and you can download, or you can literally use the link, which I'm going to put into the comments because it actually is just a little bit easier when you're very first getting used to using it. So I'm going to copy this link out of another file that I already have it in, and then you'll be able to kind of see me starting to use it. So just for a second, I'll put this down here, and I'm just going to put this at the very top of the page underneath here, and I'm going to put a little link as well to say that this is Font Awesome. Cool. So what is Font Awesome? Anyways, as we talked about, it's this place to get icons. So I've got a number of different icons inside of my page. And so what you do is you literally just search for the icon that you want. You click on here. There's a few different sizes. You can decide, for example, I might want to use this one. I click Start Using Icon, and it will literally give me the code that I need just to be able to copy it straight into my file. So let's start with this particular one, this Python one. And then if I just minimize this and I come along to here, then if I put this into that section we were dealing with here, so this was just underneath the column bit, and unfortunately that didn't copy, which is really frustrating. So let me just quickly go back and copy that again. There we go. So hopefully that copied this time. There we go. Okay. And then I'm going to do my P tag quickly, and I'm going to put in here 3+ years experience, or 3 years plus. Okay, so that's just the way that I've decided to style mine. So then let's have a look and see how this is looking and what it actually comes out with. And what you can see right now is we haven't added any style into it, but we do have this little Python logo. So there's quite a few that I've used, and obviously they're more specific to my particular experience. And so what I would suggest at this point is I'm going to copy and paste all of the ones that I want into this, because I have obviously, I've got JavaScript and I've got lots of different ones. And so I would recommend that you pause the video here, and that if you are coding along and this is something that you want to do, that you just spend a little bit of time finding the right icons for what you need. So for example, I've got like PHP, I've got to use the AWS one, I've got CS, what have I got? I've got CSS, I've got HTML5, and so on. Now, it's really important if you're going to put these on your page that you at least, as a minimum, say like kind of a proficiency level, so how much experience you've got, or in terms of years or projects or percentages. And you'll see lots of different examples of people doing this, because it's just important that you don't obviously just kind of put them on there. And Python could mean anything. You could have had 3 weeks experience on Python, or you could have, like me, spent a couple of years using it in different settings. But again, I've used it in some ways and maybe not others, so I wouldn't necessarily have as much experience of it in others. So while I'm doing this, I'm just you can see that they're all kind of populating here. Now this one's a little bit bigger right now, and that's because I have text underneath it and I've said how many years of experience I've got. And so I'm just going to align all these p tags, and then I'm going to populate them as well. So again, this is just holding the Alt key. I'm able to click on all the areas. And then if you do Control and the close square bracket next to your Enter key, that will move everything over one tab at the same time. Or you can hit the tab key, but it's handy for if you want to move like kind of multiple things. Okay, so in terms of experience then, so for JavaScript, I have at least 2 years. So I'm going to say 2 years plus. And then for PHP, I would say it's more like a year plus. For using AWS, I have like over 6 months. I'm going to say greater than 6 months. It's one of my newer things that I've been learning. And for CSS, I have, I think I've been using it for like 3 years now, to be honest. Not in detail in the early part of my career, but certainly I definitely have been using it for at least that long. And then 3 years plus for HTML5. GitHub, I've started using it about a year ago, but I wouldn't say it's been 2, so about a year plus. Databases I've been using for like at least 3 years. And the cloud networking, I would say I've got like at least 6 months plus in terms of more hands-on experience. So there we go. So as you can see, we're starting to kind of get a little bit of shape, but it's still really not looking how I want it to. There's still some more formatting I want to do. And as we can see, they're all bunched up on one line because I haven't said how much space I want, and that's not really how I want it to look. So now we're going to just do this styling, and then I'll probably stop the video after this section and kind of focus on the next bit, because this bit is a little bit harder in that, like, you just have to really be clear that you're using the right thing. So there is a particular sort of terminology, I guess, that you have to use in order to deal with these font awesome icons. Now I know that they're in the skills section, so if we remember, the ID that we have is skills for this section. And then what you have to do to be able to access these, it's a little bit long-winded, is SVG, because they're scaled vector graphics, and then SVG inline, and then --FA. And that's for just the normal as they are on the page. And then if you want to create that hover effect like I did where they change color, you need to copy and paste this, and then you need to write hover. And this you can do on anything. You can add hover to anything. So the styling I want is you have to treat them like text in this respect. So I'm going to say the actual items, this won't do anything to the P tag, just the actual items, I'm going to have them as 5 rem. And this is going to make them a little bit bigger. Although right now it's not made them a little bit bigger. So I guess I just need to see what I've put an extra dot in there. There we go. Okay, so we're starting to get there. I'm going to give them a margin of auto, and that's just going to space them out a little bit, kind of in the space that they have, and centralize them within their own little column. I'm also going to give them a color, and it's going to be this beautiful orange red. I'm really vibing this color at the moment. I don't know what it is about it. And then I'm going to give them a margin on top of just 10 pixels. And this is so that as they start to stack, they have a bit of space around them. So that's better. That's starting to look a little bit more like how I wanted it. And then the only other change I want is that I want the colour to be royal blue. That's the colour I've used when I hover over them, and they're not quite there yet, because what I now need to do is break the styling that was included in the style sheet, and that I do that by writing the word important. Okay, cool. And again, that's also not working because I had the little extra dot there. But as you can see, we've now got them. And that's how simple it is to actually use these icons. Now, other things you might do, for example, is you might say that the font size when you hover over them maybe just grows a tiny bit. So you might say but 5.2 rem. I'm not going to do this. No, maybe I will actually. It looks kind of nice. I love it when it does this. And again, this is like basic interactivity. It's not actually interactivity, but it just adds that look as if things are, I guess, kind of looking like that. That they're moving around and stuff. And I think that that's quite nice as well. Cool. There's only one more thing I want to add to my Jumbotron, which I forgot about. And it's just a little bit of depth to how it looks. And so the way that I'm going to do this is I'm going to say that for my head jumbo, and I've noticed here actually, I gave my Jumbotron an ID, I believe. And then I've kind of not used that consistently. So instead of having this, I'm going to change this to be that it kind of matches. And obviously I'll have to change the name of this now. Oh, I hate when I do that. It's such a horrible noise. Head jumbo. So that'll go to orange, and nope, it was Jumbotron. I guess I must have done that in the beginning, realised there was a reason why I didn't do that, and change it back. Now, I would edit all of these minor bloops out, but I think that there's absolutely no point, because you need to understand that you make mistakes. No one codes completely. I've coded this whole project in advance, and now I'm just kind of going back over it. The reason that didn't work basically is because this div class is one set of kind of space. And then inside there's a Jumbotron. And so that's why applying it at this level, the Jumbotron styling overrid it, because it sits on top of this container essentially. So that's why I've done that anyways. The last thing I want to do is just add like a bit of a shadow. So I'm going to add a box shadow. And these kind of different measurements are related to, they're kind of like a little bit complicated to explain, but I'll show you the effect of them. It's definitely something to spend a bit more time to research. As you can see now, it's just added like a little bit of a shadow. And I think it's that it's like one pixel to kind of the side. I don't know, if we play around with it, we can see kind of different effects that happen as we change it. So I think the shadows come out a bit deeper on this side and so on. But my default's normally 115, and it just kind of creates this bit of depth, a little bit more depth to the side, and it just kind of gives it a little bit of something. Cool. So then the last thing I do want to do is let's just have a little look and see. So I didn't really do much to the font underneath. Obviously you can change that, but before we go on, let's just add some margin, because right now it's looking very bunched up together, and we want to just kind of add margin to individual sections. So the first thing I want to add a margin to is this skills section. And I haven't individually done anything for skills, just the inline stuff. So I'm going to use the skills, and I'm going to say the margin for the top is going to be like, I'm going to say 75 pixels. I always go 50 pixels, but then I'm like, nah. So that was this bit here, sorry. I've added a margin to the top. And then this section with the P tags in it, I have called, this is my about me. So it's the about me bit. So I'm just going to copy that. Saves me from making a mistake. And then I do try and sort of just do it in order as much as possible, just so that it's easier to track. So about me is on the page, it's here, it's before the skills. So I do the same in my CSS. And I'm going to say margin top. It's going to be 75 pixels. Cool. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm really going to do some good practice here. And I'm going to go and I'm just going to put some comments in so I know where things start. So quick shortcut, guys, Control / will just add a comment there. So this is going to be my Jumbotron styling. And then from here, we're going to do the about me. Just because the green stands out, it's easier then when it comes to finding different sections. And this is going to be the skills. Cool. And then down the bottom, I'm also going to have like my footer and all different stuff that I'm going to be adding in, but you get the idea. And the reason this is jumping, guys, is every time I make a change in here, this is updating live. And so that's why it's jumping every time I move it, in case you were wondering. Cool. So I'm going to pause the video here and I'll see you for the next one.